great pleasure to bring in Congressman Steve Scalise from the great state of Louisiana. Mr. Scalise, you have declared for Majority Leader. You are supporting Kevin McCarthy for Speaker. I would say the tide is with you. And I would say Joe Biden was kind of dissing all of you. He says nothing's going to change. You think that's right? Nothing's going to change in Washington if you take the House?
Well, Larry, good to be with you first, and there will absolutely be changes. And the first thing that's going to happen is there will be no more trillion-dollar bills to do things like paying people not to work, bailing out failed states, jacking up inflation, all of these Green New Deal proposals that are killing American energy and raising the cost of gas at the pump when you're paying your heating bill this winter. Those are the things that are going to change. And it shows how tone deaf President Biden is to the problems people are facing. I mean, the number one issue coming off of this election where the House will flip from Democrat to Republican was inflation driven by Biden's spending binge and all the other radical policies that drove up gas prices. The open border isn't talked about enough. We want to address that as well. And also crime in communities was a big driving factor. It's why we flipped a lot of seats in New York, why we're going to probably flip a seat in Portland, Oregon with Lori Chavez DeRemer. So there's still some seats out there to win. It's going to be a Republican majority and change is coming. And this far left radical push is going to end that Biden's been pushing with Nancy Pelosi.
How do you react, Steve Scalise? How do you react to him saying yesterday that he's not going to change? You know, 75% say we're going in the wrong direction, all right, just in generic terms. Are you going to change, the reporter said. He says, no, I'm not going to change. How do you react to that?
Well, that's an insult to the millions of Americans who said they want to change and actually voted in a change. You know, we won in a lot of places we haven't won in a long time. I mean, Monica de la Cruz flipped a seat Republicans haven't held in over 100 years. We flipped seats in states like New Jersey, Michigan with John James coming in, Tom Kean Jr. up in New Jersey. A lot of great candidates coming in to help make change and get the country back on track and focus on these economic issues that are crushing middle income and lower income families. And if President Biden doesn't want to help those families who are struggling, what message is he sending to them? Because we know families are struggling, especially the lower income families, because of the Biden inflation and so many other crises that he's created with this far left push.
So basically, Bill Clinton, he's not. I mean, I guess we're going to keep the expectations bar low that he might reset and deal with the actual voters and, again, taking the House, and you all may take the Senate, too, before it's over. I mean, it's sort of a declaration of war, if you ask me.
Well, look, Larry, we're going to give him the opportunity to work with us on passing the bold conservative agenda we ran on. We actually showed the voters of this country what we would do if we had a House Republican majority, and they responded by giving us that majority. And so we laid it out in the Commitment to America. We're going to start day one in January passing those bills to create energy independence again. I mean, we should not rely on foreign countries for our energy when we can make it here. You've talked about this so much. It's not raiding the Strategic Petroleum Reserve like Biden's done that's going to answer the problem. It's standing up to Russia, to Saudi Arabia, to Venezuela, to Iran. Let's make our own energy. Let's deal with the high price that people are paying at the grocery store that President Biden doesn't seem to care about. We're going to be focusing on addressing that. I talked about the open border. It's not just the millions of people coming across. It's the fentanyl, the drugs that are killing over 100,000 young people every year. Does President Biden care about the fact that last year about 100,000 of our young people died because of the drugs coming across his open southern border? That's 300 people a day, Larry, that are dying, young people that are dying. And President Biden says nothing's going to change. That's not acceptable. We're going to pass bills to fix that problem. Is President Biden going to work with us? We're going to give him that opportunity. I hope he listens to the families who are struggling out there and says, I'll work with these guys that just got put in the majority.
Well, speaking of high energy prices, let me let you listen to what he said yesterday about inflation and oil companies. Take a listen, Steve.
I can't guarantee that we're going to be able to get rid of inflation, but I do think we can. We've already brought down the price of gasoline about $1.20 a gallon across the board, and I think that the oil companies are really doing the nation a real disservice. If they had done the two things they have done before, one, invest in more refineries and producing more product, and or passing on rebates to the gas stations, or they sell the oil at a cheaper rate than they are selling it now, not taking advantage.
Well, I don't know what rebate he's talking about, but there he's blaming the oil companies for not producing enough oil. So I got one more quote. Please listen to this and weep.
We're going to be shutting these plants down all across America and having wind and solar. We're also providing tax credits to help families buy energy-efficient appliances. No more drilling. There is no more drilling. I haven't formed any new drilling.
So this is one of these head scratchers too. So he says yesterday the oil and gas companies should be producing more, but a couple days before that, before the election, he says no more drilling, no more drilling, no more drilling, and then just before that he said we're going to put an end to coal production. I don't get this, Steve Scalise. I thought I'd leave it up to you to translate what he's trying to say, or maybe I'll leave it up to you to tell us how you can fix it.
Well, Larry, first of all, this is that parallel universe that you were talking about a little earlier that Joe Biden seems to live in. When he's out in the public, he says, hey, it's those evil oil companies, it's the gas stations, it's everybody else, it's Russia. And then he goes into the Oval Office and he signs executive order after executive order to shut down drilling, to kill permits, to kill lease sales. He won't let companies in America drill. He begs foreign countries to drill, and then we'll buy it from them at higher prices. And by the way, they have higher carbon emissions when they drill in those foreign countries because we do it better here in America. But then he thinks he can nod and wink and just tell the public, hey, blame somebody else. The public knows it's Joe Biden's policies that have crushed American energy, making us dependent on foreign countries who want to jack up the price. If you open up energy production in America, and I mean approve pipelines, approve lease sales, approve permits. He's got thousands of permits sitting on his desk that he won't approve because the radical left won't let him. We're going to pass bills through the House, in this Republican House starting in January, to open up American energy again so we can lower costs, allow us to make our own energy, not only for our country, but for our friends around the world. And it'll actually get the economy going again. It'll reduce inflation. It'll create good jobs. Is President Biden for or against those things? We're going to give him that opportunity to work with us. But no more doublespeak. No more, hey, I'm raiding the Strategic Petroleum Reserve and prices are going down. Prices for oil are 40% higher today than when Joe Biden took the oath of office. This idea that he can just tell people the price is lower because he wants to say it. People know the reality, and they don't like the reality, and it's what Joe Biden created that they're angry about.
Yeah, I would just add to that. I think we have a full screen on this. I don't know whether you see it or not, but the U.S. in the last 10 years has had the biggest drop in carbon emissions of any of the big countries. 24.5% decline, over the last 15 years. We make the cleanest oil, the cleanest natural gas. Actually, we're making the cleanest coal as well. So this Green New Deal socialism stuff, I hope you can figure out a way to run with that. Too, Steve, refined petroleum products, runs through everyday American life. There's like 100 or 150 items that use refined petroleum. He wants to end that, and I just don't think anybody will put up with it.
You won't be able to drive an electric car without fossil fuels. Again, you don't plug the car into a tree. You need energy. You need to plug it into a socket. Usually that's natural gas. Even nuclear they're against. But think about this, too, because Speaker Pelosi just flew over to Egypt. President Biden said he's getting ready to fly to one of these global warming summits. Has anybody asked him what the carbon footprint of their trips across the globe to tell other people not to use fossil fuels while they're using fossil fuels to go to these countries that aren't meeting the targets that we met with natural gas, with cleaner standards? America does it better than anywhere else in the world. They love beating up on America. They're not real good at admitting how well we do it better than everyone else. Let us do more energy production. Let us make more things in America.
Well, thank you, Steve Scalise. As always, good luck in the next few weeks. We appreciate it. Talk soon.